But this month, this is what we're here for, is SEO strategies for WordPress. I've not done an SEO talk in quite a while, so I am looking forward to this one. I've got a free resource for you. This QR code will be displayed at the end of the talk as well. You can take a picture now if you want, and that's a direct access to the resource. What happens is after this meetup, I'm going to change that QR code and it's going to be a sign up, so email and name. But this one here just goes directly to the download on AWS. So you can grab that right now. What I'll do is I'll post a link on the meetup page with the resource download as well. And as I say, the QR code will be available at the end of this meetup, and I'll leave it there if anyone wants to take a picture and grab that resource. So this all really came about from the Sydney SEO conference, which was back in April. I attended that. It was a 2-day conference. It was a Friday and a Saturday, and it was really, really, really good. Some fantastic speakers, not just from Australia, but from international as well. And each speaker brought a different aspect of SEO. Here's some of the speakers, some of the standout speakers that we had. I really apologize if I mispronounce your names. Alida Solis was great. Jess Schultz is always an excellent talk. She was all about branding, omni-channel branding. Our Aussie Nick Ranger was there talking about things. Kyle Roof from the US, he is a hoot. His presentation was just super. It was over the roof. Sally Mills as well brought a genuine kind of freelancer, one-person agency perspective to that. And Tim Saulu as well at Ahrefs. He's the owner of Ahrefs. He gave a really good insight into where his tooling system was going. There was more speakers than that. These are just the ones that kind of stood out for me. And I've got some links to there. So they're in the guide, the SEO action pack as well, with all the links and stuff in there. Okay, so this is really a kind of roundup of the Sydney SEO conference, some of the topics that were talked about, and how they can maybe apply to your SEO techniques right now as a WordPress freelancer, as an agency person, and maybe some tips on how that can be implemented in WordPress, but it's kind of more focused about the SEO side. So let's jump into it. If you've got any questions, just jot them down in chat. Some housekeeping, I should say, before I jump into the main slides, is that this is being recorded, so I'll share that later on YouTube, on the Facebook page, and on the Meetup event page, and the slides as well. I'll make them available so you get all the references and stuff later on afterwards. Okay, so search is constantly evolving. This was the big takeaway of the SEO conference last month, a couple of months ago, is that, I mean, you should know anyway that SEO never stands still. It's not a one fixed job and then leave. It's always evolving, but it really is evolving at the moment quite dramatically. So SEO today is not what it was 2 years ago, and it definitely won't be the same 2 years from now. Search behavior has shifted drastically. We've got things like zero-click searches. We've now got AI-powered summaries, so the search generative experience from Google. We've got Google Discover on mobile, which is all powered by mobile. And all of this really is reducing a whole load of organic traffic. Now, I don't know if you've seen any changes. I certainly have seen a lot of changes over the last 2 years, and my clients, my business clients have as well. It's been a steady drop-off in the number of organic traffic, but it is noticeable. Not if you take a month-by-month snapshot, but if you zoom out to a couple of years, you should see a kind of slow decline in organic traffic. And the experts think this is because more people are just sticking with the search engine, which is Google, basically. But, you know, Microsoft do have AI and stuff on theirs, but generally, most people search on Google. So when we talk about zero-click searches, and this has been around for a while, is that when you're searching something, you know, the first results that are coming up on Google, it's Google scraping your website and then displaying the information conveniently without having to go back to your website as a reference, which is very naughty. It's a horrible thing to do, but it is what it is. So that's called a zero-click, where you get the information directly from Google, and that information comes to your website, but it's presented as Google as a result. So you're getting less clicks-throughs because people are getting the information and then they're not clicking out to the website. So that's a zero-click search. Now we've got these AI-powered summaries, which was rolled out to everyone a few months ago. So whenever you now do a search in Google, you're first of all getting the SGE, which is Search Generative Experience, right at the top of the results. And that's giving you an AI overview summary of what you're typing in. So again, all the organic stuff's getting pushed down and down and down and down. Because there's more AI, there's more Google stuff now that's happening at the top. But the AI summary, people are loving it. People are clicking on the down arrows. You'll get a little summary at the top. Then for more results, click down, and you click down. And again, you're basically just living inside this search generative experience. So it's probably affecting organic search results even more than the zero-click search result, which is bad for us if we're trying to get people to our website, but it's great for people who are searching so that they get the topics that they need within one click. Now, Tim Saulo from Ahrefs, he joked at the conference that every conversation now is about AI. And he asked, is AI killing SEO? And his answer was, not quite. It's reshaping it, but SEO isn't dying. It's being reborn as an AI-first world. So if you're not into AI yet, if you're thinking it's just a passing trend, it ain't. And it's definitely affecting more and more things online, more and more things in the world now. So if you're not into AI, you probably should think about looking into it right now, because it's affecting so many things in our life, especially SEO. Now, the tools, the platforms, the strategies that we use in 2018, they just won't guarantee any results in 2025. So we need to shape up, we need to change, we need to evolve. As AI becomes a discovery layer, so ChatGPT, citing source content, is being seen as credible and crawlable and is essential part of SEO now, because people live inside these ChatGPT and all these different platforms. So Google's focus has shifted towards surfacing trusted content that solves intent, not just ranks well technically. So Google are looking at what's the end case that people are looking for. So rather than click around through websites, they want to try and solve that end intent. So they're looking for websites, they're looking for content that is clear and that is answers to what people are looking for. So again, we're seeing the rise of these zero-click searches, the AI snapshots, which means that if you're not creating that type of content, which is being well cited, it's authoritative, it's summarized, you're going to pretty much be invisible in the next 2 years. So this is why our SEO strategy needs to evolve alongside the ecosystem. It's also not enough just to follow trends nowadays. As Nick Ranger, one of the speakers, said, a reactive methodology is no longer sufficient. We need a predictive, proactive SEO approach that looks at long-term patterns, not just the here and now and the current trends. So from a WordPress point of view, I'll go through WordPress tips throughout this presentation, but from this specific one, review your SEO plugin. So whatever plugin that you're using, review the settings. Most of them now, so Yoast, Rank Math, SEO Press, the big ones, they're now changing to evolve with the search engine features, especially those that integrate with the AI, the ChatGPT, the OpenAI, the LLMs. So just keep an eye on those updates and make sure you're connecting it to those new APIs, so it's being able to analyze and look at the AI side of SEO as well as the traditional SEO. So what's changed and what hasn't? Kyle Roof, one of the other speakers, he did a lot of research. He does a lot of research. He did a study comparing 4,000 plus websites and revealed that less is more in regards of SEO. So what he means is that sites who are simpler titles with fewer internal anchor texts and text variations, they outperform those that had been aggressively over-optimized. And I know we all do it. I do it as well. We sit with an article and we look at the keywords and we're going through all the keywords and we're making sure that, our H1s are set, our H2s have another variant, our all that sort of stuff, all that good stuff that we should be doing. But sometimes that can be overly aggressive. And his particular study showed that the simpler websites were being picked up more than the ones that are being overly aggressively optimized. So in fact, what he classed as winning sites, winning as point of SEO and the search results, had boring basic title tags. Let me see some figures here. 2.5 anchor text variations per page. The ones that performed worse had 4.1 anchor text variations on average and more complex title tags. His point was that the sites that were doing good SEO weren't the ones that were winning. It's the ones that were basic, plain, and to the point. So he was saying that we need to really rethink content strategies, not just from a technical point of view, but from a kind of human point of view as well. So over-optimizing titles, links, or keywords usage can actively hurt rankings at the moment. Google and AI are looking for human written content, explainer content aimed at year 5, year 6, that's ages around 10 to 12. So if you're trying to explain a complex problem, try explaining it to a 10 and 12-year-old. I'm getting pretty good at that because my boy's going to be 10 this year. But they're really looking for simplified, to-the-point content that can be scraped in and then served over these AI systems. So content that ranks well doesn't try to game the system. It just provides clarity on the question. What stayed the same? What's not changed just now? So solid site architecture. So having a really good sitemap. Your content is siloed. It's in proper categories and navigation. That's still the same. Quality content. So even though I've said the basic stuff works, basic not as in poor content, but basic as in quality content, not stupid content. So they're still looking for good quality, trusted content, but just a kind of simplified version of that. Link authority is still, Google says that link authority is not a really strong ranking factor, but I think that's just a bit of BS. It completely is. And that's been proven that sites that have really high links to them, high authority websites linking to them, do generally tend to perform better in organic results. So from a WordPress point of view, try and simplify your post titles, simplify your navigation menus as well so people can get at that content. Always avoid keyword stuffing, of course, but have a think about anchor text as well. Don't go through your document and have 12 internal links and have lots of variations for anchor text. Just maybe drop to 2 or 3 internal links, have simplified or maybe even the same anchor text as well. Don't overly engineer content. Just write as if you're explaining to a 10-year-old, and that seems to be working in favor at the moment. AI and SEO, friend or foe? This is a great debate, and lots of people are talking about this in the hallway. You know, is AI SEO's friend or is it SEO's demise? And there's pros and cons for each. Tim Saulo said that AI isn't killing SEO; it's just changing how we compete. AI is just influencing search. Everyone's still going to be searching for stuff. They're just searching for stuff in a different way. LLMs like ChatGPT, Gemini, Google's AI overviews, they are changing where and how people discover information. But at the end of the day, people are still searching for that information. It's just the way that they're being presented with the answers is different. And the way that Google and Microsoft are obtaining the information is different as well. It's through AI, it's through people's search intent, it's through ChatGPT and all these different AI models now. So Tim asked, how do we get traffic from chatbots like ChatGPT? One answer is by becoming really good high authority source that these tools can summarize. And that means your site really has to have a niche. It has to be an authority in that niche. It has to be a clean structure so that the information can be grabbed really quickly and easily. And it has to be clear as well, clearly defining what the question or the outcome is. So that means they were talking about pillar content. So pillar content is where you have one big article that goes really in depth on a particular subject and then spins out to different articles that maybe specify different areas within that pillar content. That's still okay, but what they're tending to find is that the content that delves into the more kind of niche descriptive and parts of that pillar content, those are the ones that are really getting picked up by AI and being presented within things like ChatGPT and Gemini as sources and references, because it's clear, it's to the point, it's exactly what is answering the question. So pillar content's still good for SEO, but if you're looking to get your results into things like ChatGPT and Gemini, it's those really one specific articles that deal with one specific issue or topic or area and answer that with clarity and simplicity as well. So if you're really looking to get your stuff into those search in the ChatGPTs, that's the type of content that's being favored at the moment. Nick Ranger explained that search engines are becoming more advanced, but they still rely on well-structured, easily digestible content. So she focused on visibility and clarity at every layer. So think about when these bots are crawling your websites, have a look at Google. There's one in Google Search Console where it shows you how Google sees your content, what it actually sees when it's indexing it, and just have a look at how clear that information is, because the clearer it is, the easier it is for ChatGPTs and Gemini to suck up that information, understand what it is, and present it as a particular source. So don't treat AI as a threat. Treat it just as another audience, basically. One that prefers tidy data and expert answers. Let's see. There was another part more on the faux side that I thought was quite interesting. So Sally Mills, she gave a super accessible talk on bot management and log file analysis. Two areas probably a lot of WordPress users overlook, because you probably, unless you run your own server, you probably don't have access to those types of logs. But she said that bad bots, so some of these LLMs are chewing up a lot of crawl budget. So you might not even be aware of that, but it's worth looking at your log files, your server log files, just to see how many of these chat system bots are crawling your data. Now, if you're on a plan like GoDaddy or SiteGround, where your site is limited for the amount of traffic that you get, and if you've seen recently over the last few months that you're hitting that limit a lot, it might be worthwhile looking at the server logs to see exactly what's looking at your data, because there's an awful lot of these chat LLMs, AI system bots that are just crawling. They're just consuming data all the time. And that means it's going towards your bandwidth. So she says that bad bots are chewing up a lot of crawl budget, skewing analytics as well. So you might think you've got a lot of traffic, but it could just be AI bots grabbing your information. And sometimes even attacking your server. So if they're really brutal, there's been some instances where they've slowed down and possibly crashed websites because they've been overly scraping the site. So use tools like Screaming Frog, Log Analyzer. There's Cloudflare logs as well if you run your website through the CDN. And just have a look and see what type of bots are accessing it. You might want to block some aggressive bots via your .htaccess or your robots file. And just monitor your crawl status on Google Search Console monthly as well. Getting mentioned by LLM. So we kind of briefly talked about that in the last one, but yeah, I think I'm going to skip this one because I did talk a little bit about that. There's nothing really more about doing that than the last slide. I kind of went into that a little bit too much in the last one. Any notes here? Yep. So LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini, they're scanning a huge amount of content. So they are looking at your website, but they're choosing which sources to then cite as references. Tim noted that mentions matter now as much as likes. So the best sources are ones that everyone else referring to, even if they don't link to it. So even though your content's not coming up in the organic Google searches, these LLMs are still scanning that data, your content, presenting those as references. So your goal is to get mentioned cited by name. It boosts your entity strength, which then feedbacks into Google's knowledge graph and search trust. So if you can get a source, your website sourced in ChatGPT or Gemini, then it does count towards your overall score with Google. But Google still uses backlinks and structured data and all that sort of stuff. So it still good. But if you particularly want to get your mention on LMMs, we need to do, as I said previously in the slide, is have really good specific content that's written clearly and for kind of around 10 to 12-year-olds, that sort of stuff. Moving into authority. So Google prioritizes EEAT. So this is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. So one of the speakers, Eliza Sumner, showed how storytelling, first-hand experience, and emotions created conversion rates or increased conversion rates by 15,000%. That's a lot. She did several studies on this, but the big thing was on storytelling. So people are looking for content that they can align with emotionally, and that leads to better conversions. So she delivered a brilliant talk on how empathetic content is the next frontier that she thinks of SEO. So she said that trust is not a tick box, it's built through emotion, and emotion builds connection. So rather than just have flat content, people nowadays are connecting more with storytelling and empathetic content rather than just the facts on a page. So this is moving kind of more into conversion optimization rather than just the SEO. But she outlined the types of empathy that we can write with. So cognitive, so understanding people's feelings, and compassion, knowing what they need to move forward. So this is more about conversion copy. So we're thinking about landing pages, stuff that's going to come up in searches, Google searches, to try and get a reaction from somebody. So sign up to something, buy something, give us your details, that sort of stuff. So experience EEAT, it's not abstract. It does actually come alive when your content sounds human. And again, during the conference, there was a real push that when you're writing your content, just make it sound as human as you can. So don't just have plain facts. Bring some empathy as well. As if you're having a conversation with someone, that content is being consumed better by humans, at least, than just kind of plain factual stuff. So pages should clearly reflect who wrote them. So try and bring a bit of personality into your content. Don't just be flat and robot-like. Bring in some of your experience as well, and some of your credentials to help back that up. And this aligns with Google's shift from just ranking stuff to did it satisfy the user's needs? So there's this intent part that's coming up really, really big when you're thinking about SEO. So it's not just about keywords anymore. It's thinking, what are people looking for? What's their end goal? And kind of write content that's going to satisfy them and emotionally connect with them to increase your conversions. So from WordPress point of view, you can add things like author boxes with links to social profiles, credentials, all your past work. So allowing people to see who you are, a little bit of more insight into, increasing that trust as well, that expertise and that authoritativeness. So plugins like Simple Author Box and Generate Blocks, all these kind of good themes, they have these author boxes in different formats. They also provide the schema for it as well, which is really important. We'll talk about schema a little bit later. Brand visibility. So Alida Solis, she reminded us that brand is a ranking factor, even if it's indirect. So she said that Google rewards known entities, not just optimized websites. So she was given examples that it's a bit unfair, but the big brands generally win out with Google. So if you're searching for something within a context of clothing or whatever, then Google will favor things like Nike and Adidas and the big, huge brands because they've got the trust, they've got the authority, they've got the recognition, they are everywhere. And Google loves that because people are looking at the content, they're consuming the content, so Google thinks that's brilliant. So it's a bit unfair, but if you're really looking at brand visibility from an SEO point of view, the word omnichannel was mentioned a lot of times at the conference, a lot of the talks. They're basically saying that you kind of need to be everywhere if you want to increase brand visibility, or if you're doing SEO work for your clients and they're looking to get brand visibility and recognition, you kind of need to be everywhere, not just in organic search results. You need to be in paid ads, you need to be on Google Maps. You need to have your Google business profile. You need to be on social networks. You need to be coming up in GTP, ChatGTP. So it just needs to be pretty much everywhere. So she shared examples where branded search volume grew alongside non-branded rankings. So when more people search for your name, your brand name, then you get a trust bump in Google. So building the brand as well as your personal and as well as your content and business is one of the big things in 2025 as well. So to support brand visibility, make sure that your WordPress site includes consistent mentions of your brand name, a clear logo and business name in the header and footer and the meta tags. You want to make sure that the schema for your organization and your website are on every brand page that you're writing content for your brand. You can use things like Rank Math Pro or SEO Press. They have both schemas in those. Make sure you add your brand assets, your logo, your name, your tagline to all your global footer site identity. So everything that goes out on social media and external should reference as much brand stuff as possible if you're in the business of branding, building your brand visibility. She also stressed the importance of entity consolidation. So your profiles, your local listings, your about page should all point back to the same brand identity. So Google's really looking for brand consistency across the board. So the same colors, the same speech, the same voice, the same integrity, the same authority, that sort of thing. It's looking for a consistency across everything. So use brand for schema, consistent external mentions, branded searches, appear in the knowledge graph, and your brand needs to be omnichannel and consistent. So omnichannel was a big word being used at the conference this year across a lot of SEO talks. We talked a little bit about search intent, but what does that really mean? So Tim Saulo at Ahrefs, he talked about keyword intent mapping from Ahrefs tool. So they've got a new tool set that comes out that looks at keyword intent. So things like informational, navigational, commercial, and transaction. That's the 4 intents that people generally are searching for. So they're looking for information about something, they're looking to go somewhere, looking to buy something, and they're looking to how can you get something, how can you pay for something. So you want to match your structure and content to the user's expected outcome, their intent, as much as possible, because that's what Google is focusing on right now. Google wants people to get an answer to their search intent quickly as possible, ideally in one click, so they can get directly at it. So the type of content that's useful for this is guides, so how-to guides, FAQs, sales pages or landing pages with sales copy, reviews of stuff, and contact pages. They all serve different search intents, but that's what Google is kind of focusing on at the moment. They're looking to understand, what does this person want when they're typing a keyword, and they want to show them the exact information as quickly as possible. And it's the type of content that Google is focusing on just now. Is these how-to guides, these FAQs. They want to pick up that information and show them on their page rather than go to your website. But that's the zero click, but that's what it is just now. So for WordPress, you can use things like custom post types or even categories if you're not into custom post types. But you want to have things like tutorials, products, reviews, tools or resources, recipe events, that kind of custom stuff that comes with a schema, an appropriate schema that Google can understand immediately that that's a thing that it knows about. So it can then match that intent with that thing that's on your website and pull that information out and give it to the users. Jess Schultz, she also focused heavily on entity SEO and aligning your pages with user intent. She said that search intent is not just what people type, it's what they expect to see. So she talked about more the kind of outlining long tail keywords that people are kind of, they don't really understand what it is that they're looking for, but they've got an end result, but that might not show through the initial searching that they do. But if you can look at those long tail keywords and understand exactly what they are looking for and present that content, then you're kind of onto a bit of a winner. So In WordPress terms, don't use blog templates for everything. Create kind of distinct page layouts based on the purpose or the intent of people. So, for example, if people look for information, then, have a nicely how-to section with the FAQs and stuff. If they're looking for commercial intent, then have your product pages really good summarized with good information, exactly what that people are looking for, price and reviews and cost and shipping and all that sort of stuff that kind of people are looking for when they're trying to buy a product. Assign schemas. So this is really important when you're trying to optimize your website for Google and these particular intents. Then if there's a schema to use it because you're having a missed opportunity if you're not giving Google a better chance to view your index over your competitors. Content strategy. Eliza Sumner, she showed how low volume, high intent content can outperform big keyword pages. So she shared an example, 8 blog posts written for long tail questions. And this brought in more content traffic and leads than one generic top 10 list. So this is what Google's looking for at the moment, high intent content. If you can figure out what the end user is looking for when they're searching these bizarre long tail search keywords, then if Google can go straight to the end result, it will pick up your content better than if you've got just one of these content in the top 10 list. So her approach is to create clusters, not just pages. So one strong pillar supported by multiple targets or useful blog posts. So again, we're into this idea of having this topic cluster, this topical content, and then the stuff that comes out of that topical content, that's the gold that Google is looking for just now, because that's what people are looking for. That's their intent. They're looking for that clarity, that information, that singular one topic, one niche type of content that can just be answered quickly with clarity. AI rewards depth in topical relevance. So if a chatbot were answering a question, would it pull from your site based on what it trusts with your coverage? So you've got to think about not just people's intent, but chatbot intent. So what are chatbots looking for? They've been programmed to give somebody a specific answer. I was watching another video. It wasn't the SEO conference. It was something else. But this person was saying that probably within the next 5 or 6 years, the majority of search isn't going to be from humans. It's going to be from chatbots. From people who have built a chatbot to look specifically for a particular content with a niche. Just straight away, it does all the searching for you and it brings out the final content. So if you want to get ahead of the game, think about what sort of niches and what sort of information people just want so they can satisfy the question that they're answering. This is a sort of strategy that you're moving to. So it's no longer just humans. We're also thinking about AI and chatbots and how they are going to interact and what sort of information they're looking for and how easy it is for them to get to bring out your content so they can use that. So in WordPress, what does it mean? Building out categories like beginner SEO with an intro page, like a pillar, and then maybe 5 to 10 supporting posts that go into that pillared content that cover those details, that kind of one singular narrow content. So definitely a change in strategy from SEO content point of view. It's more topical with those little clusters of gold information as a singular blog post that help give clarity to that big topical blog post. Link between them logically, but not too much. And we'll do that in the next slide. I'll wait until the next slide. Topical based tags and categories, not just blogs and resources. So think about your categories, maybe not so much tags, but definitely categories. Are they aligned with what your users are looking for, with your niche, with the industry, and the content that you're presenting? And maybe use a content cluster plugin, or even use like Block-based or Elementor to build like a big hub page, and then link out to all those sub pages for the gold content. How are we doing time-wise? 6:50, not too bad. Okay. Kyle Roof was interesting. He did all that analysis. he was finding that internal link variations are a bit of a game changer at the moment. The sites that ranked better, and we talked about this before, they used fewer anchor variations. What he found is that too much anchor variations creates a bit of noise and not clarity. So I know that all your SEO documents and resources, and even the plugin, the blogs on the plugin websites are always saying that trying to use different adjacent SEO keywords in all your links, anchor links. But Kyle Roost's findings were that no, that doesn't really work particularly well, or it works better if you stick with maybe 1, 2, or 3 consistent anchor variations rather than change the wording all the time. It just he thinks it just creates noise, and his tests showed that and that too much variation just creates too much noise and not enough clarity. So he said that 2 to 3 variations per URL on average outperformed 4 or 5 variation pages. So he's only doing like 2 to 3 internal links rather than the 4, 5, 6 per page, and they rank better. Google may interpret excessive variations or overlinking as a bit spammy, and that's one of the reasons he thought that it affected the organic results. So internal linking should guide users naturally, not manipulate crawlers. And it's not just about spreading link equity. It's about kind of reinforcing the consistency, the meaning, really helping users navigate to that end intent. So you want Google to see a topic cluster, not a bit of a keyword soup, as he said. So it should be logical. So if you can imagine, a map, a tree, some branches, you should be able to logically follow that. It shouldn't be like cluttered with, you know how sometimes you see people decorating a Christmas tree and it's got 10 layers of tinsels, it's got 40 meters of blinking lights, it's got baubles and stuff hanging from every branch. That's kind of what the analogy was coming to. It says, don't do that. Just have a nice tree with a few bits of tinsel, a little bit of lighting, and a few really nice baubles, so that people can naturally look through it and naturally flow through. Otherwise, it's just being presented as a big mess. Okay, so he talked about using anchor links like click here for SEO help, check out our optimizing page, this SEO services page. So rather than use those types of variances, use something like view our SEO strategy guide, but use that every time consistently across those 2 or 3 internal links. And that seemed to work better in his test than having all these different variations. There's a couple of WordPress plugins that you can use specifically for this. One is called Link Whisper. I've had a quick look at that. It looks pretty good. And another one is called Internal Link Juicer, which I've looked at the page, but I haven't actually installed it and taken that for a run yet. But they helped to audit and streamline your internal links. CRO, so Kyle Roof and Jared Codling both hammered home the missed opportunity of CRO in SEO workflows. Jared said that what is the point in traffic if no one can click links or get conversions, which is true. So you may be really, really good in SEO. You might come up 1, 2, and 3 in Google and get all the traffic, but if no one's clicking through to what you need them to click through, then there's not much point in doing that. So CRO needs to be part of your SEO workflow. He shared an example where a simple call to action change, a button color change, and a bit of wording improved the conversion rate by 50-odd%. So it might be small things, and it's probably things that you might have been doing 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, show my age here. But those things are coming back. It's really important now. So just change small things. He was big into testing. So CRO testing tools like Split Hero or A/B split test, and experiment with things like button color and button text. It makes a huge difference now, again. The form field lengths and how many fields you have. Placement of testimonials, so above the fold or below the fold. Benefit focused subheadings, so not just the one big title, but also subheadings that hit on emotional briefs. Call to action sections, hero layouts. Just test the variations of those and see what works. He was really, really big into testing. That was a great talk. So the conference was hosted by Prosperity Media. They sent the links for the videos for the speakers out as private links at the moment, but they'll make them public eventually. So I would really really advise that you go and watch those, because the amount of detail that I'm missing here is enormous. So each of these videos, you'll get a whole wealth of information. But this one was really interesting. This is one of the ones that I took away, the CRO, conversion rate optimization one. It's really, really interesting. He was so funny. At the back of the room, there was one of the SEO, the guy who was hosting the SEO conference. Jared got a little bit close to the bone with some of his remarks, and the guy that was going, no, stop, don't go there. But one of the funniest things was Jared said that he found his wife by split testing popular dating site profiles. So he took split testing to the next level, that was good fun. There's only a few slides left, almost there. Schema and structured data. I've talked a lot about this during this meetup. But Peter, I'm going to give his name a go, Masinkovic, he gave one of the most technical talks at the conference. It's really good, probably one of the most useful. His key message was that schema isn't just for rich snippets, it's for clarity and context. So a lot of people might think, oh, I want to get on a rich snippet in Google, so I need to use schema, and that's the only thing. It's not. So these AI systems, they are looking specifically for these schemas, because that's the easiest thing for them to understand what that content is about. So explained how structured data helps Google build a better understanding of your content, especially on complex pages. I've been talking about these topical clusters. So that's the type of content there that you want to have your schema on, so that Google understands exactly what that subject is all about. So Peter highlighted the power of hand coding custom schema as well for really complex sites. He runs all these huge betting websites with things like live draws, pollings, and results that happen throughout the day. So he had his team build custom schema, which was needed for Google to understand the complexity of what was happening, all this changing data. So that was an interesting focus on that. But he also mentioned that don't entirely rely on plugins. Review the output that it's generating, and if it's not good, then maybe you'll be think about just hand coding it, just putting it in as an HTML block or something. Don't just rely on a SEO plugin that says it does. Schema, have a look at the output. What is it outputting, and make sure it's outputting all the stuff properly. So for WordPress, it means that have a look at the schema detail that your plugin is generating. So Rank Math, SEO Press, Yoast, there's Schema Pro as well, a snippet, and validate that markup. Make sure it's doing proper markup and it's not just outputting rubbish. Add things like FAQs, article, author schema manually where it's needed. So if your plugin doesn't use custom post types or something, just make sure that you're adding that stuff in those. Schema is especially important now with the AI snapshots pulling directly from structured sources. Okay. Avoiding SEO overkill. So don't get trapped in SEO theater. Simplicity and user first thinking win. So don't try and consume all this information and think, oh my God, I've got to make all these changes. Be practical. Be pragmatic about it. Again, Kyle Roof said winning pages are boring SEO, so that's something to consider. Don't over SEO, don't overkill your articles. Avoid layering multiple plugins and over automating, because it just causes issue. One of the speakers was talking about, he came across a website that had 100 plugins or something, and 3 or 4 of them did the same thing, and it screwed up all the content. So just make sure you're not using plugins that are warring against each other. Sally Mills gave a super accessible talk on bot management and log file analysis. Again, we covered that a little bit on one of the other slides, but again, it's worth mentioning just to have a look at what bots are looking at and where they're looking at and how much resources they're consuming. So you don't want to overkill your SEO so that all these bots are looking at all this content and just tune up all your stuff. Some practical tips. Maintaining fast load time still works. So even though we've talked about things like schemas and search intent, some of the good stuff still works. So there was a couple of talks on kind of more practical SEO stuff. So maintaining fast load times is still required. It's still a big ranking factor. Good user experience, so people being able to navigate to get to your content. Healthy on-site SEO fundamentals, so you're covering, the core pillars of SEO. Stay on top of broken links as well. That's overlooked in a lot of places. I know a lot of my clients, my initial clients, I have a look at their Google search console and there's like 500, 1,000 broken links. It all adds up negatively. So stay on top of broken links. It's a missed opportunity anyway. You want to be able to link out and build authority and reference to your content. Just check the basics like missing alt tags for images. Use proper permalinks. Again, you'd be surprised the number of people that come to me with still have the P equals or post equals. So don't use nice permalinks. Redirections, again, make use of good redirections. Don't overkill it. Always use schemas when there's a chance to as well. WordPress tips, if you can, think about running audits on your website. So things like Screaming Frog and Sitekit and Google Search Console, rank math audits as well. Just have a look at your content. How well is it doing? Is it all indexed? Is there any missing stuff? Those are good tools to run for that. Use WP Rocket for good caching or Cloudflare as well. Speed helps. Short Pixel for condensing images. Images is the biggest factor for speed bloat on WordPress pages. People uploading the 5,000 by 4,000 iPhone images directly as thumbnails, which is crazy. Perf matters as well. It's great to get rid of bloat as well for WordPress pages, maintain healthy site speed and health. Lastly, let's recap on some of the things that I've talked about tonight. SEO is shifting from search engine tricks to human first trust and usability. AI is already changing how we're getting discovered, how the content is being discovered and displayed. It's not just how we rank, it's also about how that content is being used and how that content is being given to the users inside these new AI tools and AI APIs. EEAT, schema, page speed, UX, intent-driven content are no longer nice to haves, they are essentials nowadays. So if that's not on your SEO strategy, they need to be nowadays. Particularly for WordPress freelancers and business owners, don't chase every trend. You could get bogged down in watching all these presentations and all this stuff and all the minutiae. Just stick to the core at the moment. Just make sure that the new stuff is in there, like the schemas. Make sure you're covering those basics now, which are SEO basics. Have a look at my guide. So the SEO action pack, it's got a huge amount of stuff in there. Think of it as a living document though. So SEO is always changing. Just think of it more as a guide, a help sheet. I've got some worksheets in there that might help you do some SEO audits. But run your own audits, track what you improve and what doesn't improve. That's always key. Don't just change something and then leave it. Come back in a week, a month and see if that's helped your organic traffic or not. SEO isn't a mystery. It's a system nowadays. So there's lots of information that's been presented just this evening about ways that you can really hone your SEO strategy. So it's no longer just kind of a finger in the wind. There's good stuff out there that can help your content get noticed by Google and by the LLMs and by AI. Write naturally and simple, write conversationally so that a 10 to 12-year-old can understand your content. That's the key content winning at the moment. And if you want to success at the brand level, you need to be omni-channel and consistent. So those are the key takeaways for tonight. I know it was a long talk. I'd love to give this talk in person, but virtual it was tonight. Thanks for bearing with me. I've keeping an eye on some of the questions. If you want to have a question, drop it in the chat and I'll see if I can answer it. There is one right there. What I'll do is I'll put that QR code on for my action pack So you can download that while I'm looking at the questions. Nina asks, is Rank Math a good SEO plugin to have? It's probably the best one right now, Nina. I used to use Yoast, and then it got expensive because if you had to do the Google local stuff, if you had to do WooCommerce, you always had to buy an add-on. So that was really expensive. So then I moved to SEO Press, SEO Press Pro, which is all that stuff in it, all the premium stuff in it, for a price that's less than Yoast Pro plus all those add-ons. So I moved to SEO Press a few years ago, and it's good. I like it. It's got good AI integration. But I think if I were to migrate or choose now, if I was asked, I would use Rank Math. It's a really good UI. It's got really good stuff in there. So yes, if you're starting from somewhere, I would suggest using Rank Math. Does having Monster Insights help? Monster Insights helps. Let me just, I'll go. Yeah, so next month and questions and me. Okay, I'll just get rid of that. Stop sharing. Yeah, Monster Insights is good to help you connect Google Search Console and Google Analytics to your from your website. If your SEO plugin doesn't do that, Monster Insights helps with that. So you can connect via Google Analytics 4, you can connect your Google Search Console, or you can use Google Tag Manager to connect your website with Google. If you don't want to do the whole code thing, or you get confused by code, it's a really user-friendly way of doing that. Scrolling up to see if I've missed anything. No, Kingsley is saying, will this presentation be available as a link afterwards? Yes. I'll just check the record and make sure it's okay. Edit it a little bit. It'll be up a link on the Meetup page and our Facebook page and LinkedIn. I'll post it on LinkedIn as well. But generally for presentations like slides and videos, that'll be on the Meetup page. For the event page, that's the best page to go through. What is this schema? I presume that you are having a joke there. Maybe not, maybe not. If you don't really know what a schema is by the end of this talk, then download my guide. That goes into schema. It shows you what the data is. It has an explanation and it has some examples of good and bad ways to use it as well. If that's a real question, if you weren't just joking there, Nina, sorry, I shouldn't have assumed that you were. A schema is a bit of code. So it's a bit of JSON code, and that is code that humans can read and also code that machines can read, but it's in such a way it describes a bit of data. So a schema could be an event, it could be a recipe. It's just a really easy way for Google to look at a page and there's this bit of code on there and they pull out the information. So for example, one of my clients is an organic farming company. So they provide recipes for their organic seeds and stuff that's been grown. So in each of their recipes, I've got a schema. So it's a block of code that says recipe name, preparation time, cook time, ingredients list, shopping list, average price, that sort of stuff that you'd find in a recipe, but it's in a block of code. So rather than just words on the screen, it's a block of code that Google can just scan. It goes, schema, pull out code. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mike. Most people use AI to write content. How AI content affects AI search methodology? Yes, this is I wrote a quote from this and I'm not sure where I put it, but when I was in high school, we had the one engineer that went around fixing all the problems. He was a great laugh. He was a good, he wasn't a teacher, he was just an engineer. And we had, this is back in the old, do you remember Telefax? You might not remember that, but it was a little service that you could click on your TV and it was like blocky text graph. It's like a really, really basic internet. And we set up one of those, I set up one of those within our school, and we had two tellies. So we had the main computer, the BBC computer, and it sent out links to these two tellies. You probably wonder where I'm going with this, but we tried to stretch a big cable from the computer all the way to one of the monitors, and it was all fuzzy. And we're saying, why is it all fuzzy? And because of the length of the cable and the data degradation, this is what the technician was telling us, the electrician. And he basically said, you put crap in and you get better crap out, you get more crap out. So yes, with AI, a lot of people think it's going to be a problem because you use AI to write an article, and then the next version of the AI is being trained on that content. So if that content's poor, then it's getting trained on poor AI content. So after 4 or 5, 10, 20 iterations, you basically get a whole pile of rubbish content that's enhanced to like really rubbish. So yes, using AI to write content, the AI then uses to train itself on content is probably a bad idea. But we won't know until maybe 10, 20 years' time. Kingsley adds, do you have any stats on success of Google Business on maps clicking through to a website? I don't have any stats. Sorry, it wasn't something that came up. Google Local wasn't something that came up with SEO, other than to say that it's really important. An important part, especially if you have location-based services or a physical presence or services based in that area, is that you need to be on Google Business. If you're not, you're basically leaving out all this big search volume that people are using. Maps, find a X nearby or find a this near me. That's all driven by Google Business and the maps and location and the data there. So yeah, if you've got like a local presence, if you've got services in a particular area, if you're not on Google Business, then you need to be, you're missing out on the big search volume from there. That's very niche. Okay, everyone, I'll give you 30 seconds to do more comments. Otherwise, I think I'm going to wrap for the evening. Okay. Yep, it's looking good. If you turned up a little bit late, I was telling people that my Stream Deck has been vandalized by my 10-year-old. I've got all these buttons now that play songs, so here's another one. Chicken, banana. I have no idea what these things are, but apparently they are very popular on Roblox and stuff. So there we go, chicken banana on my Stream Deck. Okay, everyone, I'm going to say thank you very much. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the questions. I'll wrap all this stuff up and post it on the meetup page. And hopefully I'll see you in person in a few weeks' time, 21st of May.